We need a governor who will pay attention to enforcing our laws as written, not somebody who just goes off and gives speeches and sound bites. I think one consequence, one result of having a governor who spends an average of about 8 hours a week on state work is that we get a lack of administration of the laws that we do pass, and we need to change that. We need to make sure in this state that every student has a potential to go on to higher education. In this state, higher education is so important, but we see for the first time that workers that are under 35 years old, between 25 and 35, have a smaller percentage of college diplomas than those who are in 35 to 45, 45 to 45, 45 to 55. That trend has to stop, and it will if I'm governor.
Thank you. Ms. Glass, the question to you.
Well, my number one platform is to secure our border using our own Texas State Guard, and part and parcel of that is to eliminate all taxpayer-funded services to non-citizens, and that would include any type of state aid for college tuition or anything that they get or seek from the state. In fact, this is such an important issue to me that I have prepared a letter to get a strongly worded letter, which I will give to Governor Perry the next time I see him, outlining his duties as Commander-in-Chief under our Texas Constitution to use our Texas military, which includes our State Guard, and to defend that border. We have budgetary problems, these that are serious and going to get worse. These taxpayer-funded services going to non-citizens is over 25% of our $180 billion budget. We have to take these measures to get our fiscal house in order so that we can stand strong and independent of Washington financially in all ways.
Thank you. Ms. Shafto?
While I agree that we need to get our fiscal house in order, I think doing it on the backs of young people who are striving to make a better life, and as Mayor White said, we'll make a better life for all of us here in Texas, I think is a very big mistake. There are places, many places, in the state budget where we can make cuts that don't affect our young people and certainly don't put such a disadvantage on our immigrant population. They need to be educated, we need to have them educated, and they are willing. We didn't force them to go. They're anxious, they're education oriented. Let's let them have it.
Peggy, the next question.
Ms. Glass, the latest report from the Texas Workforce Commission shows there are more than 1 million unemployed Texans. Do you personally know anyone who is unemployed? And can you name a specific proposal that would put people back to work in Texas?
Yes, I know people who are unemployed. I know people who are underemployed. I know people who have given up looking, and so they don't even show up in those statistics that you mentioned. We have a serious problem in Texas, and it may seem that we are comparatively better off, but it is not in absolute terms where we can be or should be, and it's going to get worse. The things we must do is to get our budget in shape. I would cut the budget 50% in one half. That will put us back where we were roughly 10 years ago, and just shows how much government has grown. The cost of government has exploded under a conservative, supposedly conservative administration. We need to end property taxes and end franchise taxes. In the Sunday Houston Chronicle, Governor Perry said that he wanted another business tax, and we have Republicans calling for statewide property tax, and yes, they want an income tax. So they're going to use this budget problem as an opportunity to institute taxes that they wanted all along, and we've got to guard against that and stop that. But another thing we can do and must do, in addition to getting our budget into shape, is to revise some of these occupational licensing laws, things that really don't make much sense and are barriers, lots of red tape that keep people that are out of work from setting up their own business, doing what they used to do for somebody else. They should be allowed to go out and just start offering those services themselves, and we need to clear the barriers that prevent them from doing that. So there's many things we can do, but first we must recognize that we're not in nearly as good a shape as we're being told by our government about Texas finances.
Thank you. Ms. Shafto, the same question.
The problem as I see it is that there is so much money at the top and so little at the bottom that there's very little opportunity for small business people to actually get started. Small business people depend on people at the bottom end of the economic level to to use their business and to make profit for them. What I would do is take state funds, and I have a place to get them. I would take state funds and start massive public works program, putting people to work. One of the things we dearly need is a power grid, bringing the power that we can generate from wind and sun from North Texas down to the areas where it's needed. Additionally, there's research work for scientists, engineers, all kinds of people to develop solar power. Caltech has found a substance that is efficient for solar collection, but it's very expensive yet. It will get less expensive as we work on it. We need to put the work into it. We need to put the investment into it. This is our chance to leave the air polluting kinds of energy we've been generating and go into clean energy, putting our people to work, and we could become the leader in clean energy. We could be supplying energy for the entire Southwest. We have enough sun and wind to do it. All that we lack is the will and the manpower to get it going. The manpower we have, so what's left? It's the will to do it.
Mayor White?
Absolutely, and I know people are unemployed, and I'll tell you, it was about a week ago, I was in Tyler and met with a whole group of people, Texans, who had lost their jobs at the Goodyear plant. That was the largest private employer in town. They knew that Rick Perry was operating in a different world when he says that everything is great about the Texas economy, where 1 million people are unemployed for the first time, where our unemployment rate is higher than in neighboring states, an unemployment rate almost double that it was when Rick Perry took office. And this is what they told me. They had read about the outrages where Rick Perry had used the Enterprise Fund and the Emerging Technology Fund to make payments to companies that were owned by friends and donors. They recounted how that their plant had requested assistance from the governor's office to keep that plant in. But apparently none of them were big donors who could have the hand-picked funds, be one of those hand-picked firms that got taxpayer money for subsidies that was tax firms that were run by donors. And you saw the abuses. Rick Perry won't even release the names of the investors in those funds which got subsidies. Now look, as governor, I will run the whole unemployment insurance system different. I will plan for the future. We've seen unemployment payroll taxes almost more than double for some firms and almost double for most firms this year because Rick Perry failed to plan ahead. That's a direct tax on employment. That's bad for business and jobs.